Good morning, guys. It's Daphne, and I want to welcome you to my most recent episode of This Is How I Saw It. It is the day after Championship Sunday, and the Buccaneers and the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. Deep breath, deep breath. Not happy about that, obviously. I would prefer that my Niners be in the Super Bowl or playing for the Super Bowl. But that hasn't happened this year, and we will move on from that for another day and another topic. But I do want to talk about how this Championship Sunday is related to the Niners. And we're going to talk about why they're just not that into you. So hang on tight, hold on, and we'll get into it. Honestly, this episode could have been titled Everybody Wants to Be a Niner, because I think that would fit as well. But there's another component to obviously being a Niner that we want to talk about, which is really the point here, which is the Niners have to have interest in you as well. Now, I first want to say that the Niners, obviously, they're a great organization. They have great history, great Super Bowl history. They, top 5 in Super Bowl wins, along with Pittsburgh, New England, I think Dallas, and Green Bay. So top 5 organizations for Super Bowl wins. So we know we've got winning cultures in these places. Now, just like all other teams, you can be a Niner. The Niners can acquire you either through the draft, trade, free agency, and apparently some other people think that perhaps maybe you could be acquired through a Harry Potter spell. I'm not sure. Some of these scenarios that people are coming up with are just totally bizarre and crazy. But I want to talk about how this sort of fits to with Championship Sunday that just passed, because in the NFC Championship, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady obviously played. Buccaneers won, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, they both grew up in California, both grew up Joe Montana fans, 49er fans, and Aaron Rodgers famously was not drafted by the Niners when he came out of the draft, and he fell from the number 1 spot to, I think, number 23 or 24. Alex Smith was drafted by the Niners, and, Aaron Rodgers famously said that the Niners would regret, not drafting him. And I think Niners have been stuck in his head and living rent-free from the time that he was not drafted by them. Yes, he's got a Super Bowl, but I still think it's kind of silly for him all of these years later to still be upset about not being drafted by the team of his choice. I mean, we all want what we want in life, and winning in sports is obviously the ultimate goal, but hey, they didn't pick you. So you got to get over that. And I don't think he is over it, and it's a little silly. But the Niners just didn't want him as an organization, and I actually went back and did a little bit of research about that draft, and I think at the time there was some concern about his personality and attitude, which now down the road, maybe they were right. I mean, I don't know, but it seems like maybe they were right in that regard. And it's just one of those things. They didn't want him. They didn't draft him. And, he went to a winning organization. It's not like, he went to a bad place. So I'm not sure why it still bothers him as much. I mean, and even Tom Brady, he's won 6 Super Bowls. He's won 6 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. And after all of that, after all of that, he and his team went to the Niners organization and said, "Hey, I'm a free agent. I'm kind of interested in being your quarterback. What do you think?" And the Niners thought about it and they said, "No, thank you." Now, I believe it was Matt Mayoko. I saw it on Twitter last night where he put out an article. No, it was another guy. His name was Marcus White. And he said that maybe, even though the Niners had a losing season, maybe it was better that, the Niners didn't pick up Brady last season. And someone said, well, no, that's not right, because he obviously, he grew up there. He was a fan of the Niners, blah, blah, blah. And so, no. And I'm like, and I responded to this person and said, no, he's not entitled to be a Niner just because he's a fan. I mean, I'm a fan too, but does that mean that I can go work for the Niners just because I'm a fan? No, it doesn't. And it's up to the Niners to make that choice. So if they didn't want Brady, if they didn't want Rodgers, that's their choice. I think even Jared Goff liked the Niners. He grew up, I guess, a Niners fan, and he wears number 16 in homage to Joe Montana. And, I think that this sort of entitlement that, I have to, or, have to be drafted by or play for, this team because I grew up as their fan is a misnomer. The reason that the draft exists is, to create parity in the league and across the NFL. And, usually when you're a higher draft pick, that means you're going to a bad team. Now, Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round. So a number 1 draft pick is not necessarily always an indicator that you are going to have a great career, because there's obviously other players, who've been drafted in the 1st round that haven't worked out. So, but that's not the topic here. The topic is, hey, the Niners didn't want you for whatever reason, and that's their cross to bear if it works out for them or if it doesn't. But you're not entitled to play for the organization of choice. If they happen to recruit you or draft you or trade for you or acquire you in free agency, hey, that's totally fine. That's perfectly acceptable. I just think that, this sort of feeling of entitlement is not good. And I personally, I don't like it. It just, I'm a loyal person, so it's important, for me, obviously I'm loyal to the Niners organization as a fan, but also from the other side, which I want to sort of get to as well, is players sort of, if a team's not interested in me or things aren't going well, then I'm going to demand a trade. And I want to pick where I want to go. And I don't like that. Famously, Eli Manning was going to be drafted by the Chargers and said that he would refuse to play for them. He would sit out the entire 2004 season if he was drafted. Well, he was drafted by the Chargers, but he got traded to the Giants. Fine, but he would have sacrificed a year of his career because he did not want to play. So I could kind of respect that. But just because as a player things are not going your way doesn't mean that you're entitled to demand where you want to go. And, I'm going to step back from the NFL for just a second. I'm going to talk about the NBA because, famously, LeBron James was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He couldn't get to championships. They couldn't win anything. So, he decided he was going to leave and he was going to go build a super team and they were going to win 5, 6, 7, 8 championships, et cetera, with the Miami Heat. And so he ultimately did go to the Miami Heat, but they didn't win all of those championships. And then when he got tired of Miami, he went back to Cleveland and he won one championship. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. So in Miami, he won, I think, 1 or 2 championships. And then when they couldn't win more, he said, I'm going to leave. And he went back to Cleveland, and I think he won 1 with them. And he's won 1 with the Lakers. So he's got, I think, a total of 4 championships, if I'm not mistaken. But that sort of attitude of, I'm going to ring, he's going to search for rings, or he's going to chase for rings. That's not, I don't like that. And, it just doesn't sit well with me. I've never liked that. So whether it was NBA or NFL, I'm not just picking on the NFL, but just to sort of say, I personally have a history of not liking these types of moves. And, some recent moves like Jalen Ramsey, Jamal Adams, they were both, demanded trades. They ultimately got those trades, but the team that they went to so that they could win, sacrificed their future and at this point have no first round draft picks. And their teams lost in the playoffs. So, yes, they got to a point and maybe it was better temporarily, but moving forward, it's going to be more difficult for them to win because the team sacrificed and their future, and now they're stuck. So to me, that's not the best move. Some of the folks, some folks are talking about, Matthew Stafford and, Deshaun Watson deserving to be on better teams. I mean, every player who steps, on the field and puts on the uniform deserves a great team or to play for a winning organization. It's not just certain players. You can't say that just because this person has this talent, they deserve more than this person who has talent. They all put on the uniform and they all deserve the same option to play for and get on winning teams. Now, there's a lot to be said for winning in the league and being having a good culture and things of that nature. But, this sort of entitlement mentality or, I want what I want mentality or, I just don't like it. It's like everybody deserves a trophy. Everybody deserves a trophy. No, everybody doesn't. The ones who work hard and sacrifice, etc., those will get rewarded. You don't get rewarded just because you want to be rewarded. And I just really don't like that mentality. And obviously, the 49ers are going to make the best decisions for their organization. Some of them we might like, some of them we may not like, but that's a discussion for another day. But just, I just wanted to say that, hey, in this particular case, I understand why players want to be part of the Niners and part of a winning organization, but you're not entitled to it. Okay? Like I said, maybe they're just not that into you for whatever reason. So you're going to have to get over it and deal with it. And that's how I saw it. Have a good day, everyone. See you on the next one.